Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill. I'll be your Beyond Code Liver. And today we are continuing on with part 11 of the Node.js Auth project. So where we left off last time, actually let me close out some of these tabs here, was that we were working on creating the magic link, meaning that you can, instead of having to insert a password, you can have an email sent to the user clicks on the email, and then they're able to log in via that. There's a couple of concerns that we need to address, one of which I thought about recently. We need to also log device on login. This is related to the audit log. Which device was used for login? Okay, let me get out of there. So let's get back to where things were working. We just added email verification. Let's see. Let me get back into this here. Was it? No, it wasn't there. I remember where we're at. Okay. So what we've got going right now is just a really ugly email that goes out and says, "Hey, this is your." Okay, there we go. We got a notify function. So the thing I'm talking about is actually defined over here. Where's notify? Here it is. So we've got an email that goes out with the subject verify your email and says, "Here's your verification code." And that's that. And we need to spruce this up a little bit so that it'll have a link. And we've already demonstrated with curl. I think I would put that in test 2. Yeah. So we've demonstrated with curl is that we can order a challenge. The challenge goes to the email. Then we can take that, or it creates a challenge. The secret gets sent to the user's email. They click on the link, and we exchange that secret for a token. So that's what we're up to. And where we need to go from here is really we need to get this in the browser. I think we need to be able to test this so that the flow actually does work in the browser. I think that's our next step. And then immediately after that, we're going to have a little bit more information that we want to store. Well, actually, before with that even, we want either the device that the user, so let's say that the email sent to my phone, I want to be able to click on the link on my phone, and I should be able to sign in both at that point to my phone, and it should also qualify for it. If I start the process on my computer, I click it on my phone, I should be signed in both places, or at least have the option to. And so we did not create the resource for that. So first, that's actually the very first thing we need to do is create the exchange endpoint, as it were, that will allow me to get a token on the original device if I clicked on my phone. Okay, so let's see here. I think this was about where we're at. This completes the challenge. And then our original is right here. So we're going to need to be able to grep what we get back. Let me go ahead and run this process again. I think that's the right thing to do. We can comment out, finalize, and just do order. Oops. Ah, that's not what I wanted to do. And that's scary. Okay, good. Huh. I wanted to run bash test 2. There we go. And then I've got my watch exec going on here, just so you can see what that looks like. And then I'm going to have to send the email again, because I just canceled the process and everything's in memory right now. But watch exec -r-e-js, comma, env, meaning that it'll look for .js files and .env files, and then --npm starts. So it's going to restart, that's the -r, restart npm start. So kill it and restart it every time a file that ends in .js or .env changes. Okay, so I am going to need to send that email again. Oh, and well, we do have this here. So challenge token, all right. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is use JQ here. And we just need to grab challenge token. And we're going to throw that, say my challenge token equals nada. I'm going to go ahead and put my bash stuff up at the top here. Put bash in strict mode, source some envs, and then we're going to store the results of this as a subshell. And when I use subshells, I think I've shown this multiple times, and I've probably said it a couple of times, but I like to do my subshells like this, where it's indented so that it looks less wonky. So we created a subshell. What are we running in the subshell here? What's going into the variable? It's the output of the subshell. Oh, I need an equals there. There we go. So my challenge token should be updated. And to be honest, I think I'm going to have to update both the finalize and here. Let's do this. I got finalize and I don't know if I want to use the word authorize here or authenticate here, but either way, that's the thing that I'm going to do. Okay, so we've called this over here on the server. Oh, I'm going to have to, I got to run it again. Let me go ahead and pull my email out here, and maybe I can get that on the screen. Update mailer, verify your email. All right, it's come through. Good. So if I bring my email on over, you can see right here, I've got my verification code. And I'm not going to do the browser stuff just yet for it. We're just going to kind of repeat the thing that we did last time. Oh, except there's no use in repeating it yet, because I don't think that I implemented the we got challenge issue, the route. Don't think I've implemented the route. Got post or get the challenge, post complete, and then we need the last bit, which is going to be giving. Do we have anywhere in here where we do something with challenge token? Challenge token. That's it. Just there. Okay. So we're not doing anything here. And I think we don't actually need the secret to be 128 bits because it's going to be short-lived. I don't have anything in here defining the expiry time yet, but we'll get there. This is actually going to turn into a whole ball of wax pretty quickly because we're going to have to start doing verifications and save stuff to a database. And actually, I'm going to move all of this magic link out of lib session and into something like lib magic link because there's just so much more. It is truly an authentication mechanism, whereas before we're just plugging in, you know, a Google sign-in. Google sign-in's handling the authentication. In this case, we're actually handling the authentication. We have to be privy to those details of making sure things are expired and making sure that things are validated properly. So this is going to become more complex. This would be, there's complete, and then there is, I'm going to call this poll for now. Again, a lot of these names, I'm not a big fan of them, but we'll change them in a bit. Whoops. Let me adjust the camera here just a touch. Am I still in the frame? There we go. I'm still in the frame. Oh, my hair's all messed up. So I'm going to call it poll for now because this is what we're going to be doing. On the other side, well, it won't matter so much how we do it when we do the little quasi test in bash. It won't matter much. But in the browser, basically, unless we're listening for a webhook of some sort, which I don't want to implement webhooks for this, it's going to have to poll and say, hey, here's my challenge token. Can I exchange this yet? Oh, you know what? That's what we can call this, exchange. Can I exchange it for an ID token yet? And then until the user actually clicks the link, it's just going to come back with, no, you can't. So we'll have to have, I think there is a retry HTTP status code. We looked at the list last time. I don't remember it exactly. Anyway, we're going to call this challenge token. And we're not going to allow it in a query parameter. We're only allowing the other one in a query parameter because it might be convenient for certain use cases when it gets to browser land. For example, if we want to be able to put the link directly in the email and have the link in the email redirect, as opposed to have the link in the email open in the browser and have the browser do whatever it needs to do. So whether the server is handling it right away and then redirecting to the app, the thing that's in, say, Vue or React or just vanilla JavaScript, versus the server is handling the exchange right away and then redirecting with the token to the app, and the app's not worried about it. I don't know if I said both of those things well. Oh, and comments are open on both YouTube and Twitch, and I will go ahead real quick and just I want to comment that this is live. There was 2 places where I'd mentioned that I was going to be doing this today. Just 1 second. I can get that done. Okay, done. So I think I do want to copy most of this. I'm just going to go ahead and copy the whole thing. It's not going to be secret. And then I'm just going to rewrite it. So this isn't going to be secret. This is going to be the exchange. And maybe we could call that, oh, excuse me, exchange token or something. It's the middle of the day. I don't know why I'm yawning. Again, I think it has something to do with like my posture or something like that. So inside of the challenge token, if I remember correctly, we're going to have spam caller. I think we put in there when we created it the ID. Let's see. Did we put the ID in here as maybe one of the claims? Claims, type value. No, we did not. We need to do that. We need to have the ID in the token as one of the claims. So let's go and see. Now, actually, here's another thing, is we don't need the ID to be hecka forever long. So I'm going to trim this to just the first 16 characters. Could say, well, let's see, what's the right number? 128 bits, base 64. This is something I need to put in one of my cheat sheets. I think it's times 0.75, so if you did 24 times 0.75, whoops, I didn't actually mean to open that up in the new window, but you get 18, so was it 22 then? Oh man, getting all sorts of spam calls right now, so I guess, yeah. 22 should be sufficient. Oh. But I think the base 64 conversion is 3/4. I'm not going to look it up right now. We're just gonna go with it. To do double check that entropy conversion on base 64 is 0.075. Meaning that if we want 16 bytes equals 128 bits equals 22 base 64 characters. Okay, so with that assumption, I want that ID to be small because I don't want our token to bloat up huge in size. And I do want that ID to be here. And we could call this challenge ID. Seems good enough. SHA-256 strings are really long, so we certainly don't need to embed the full thing. All right, but with that said, I think there was actually more than one place where I was doing this ID. Yeah, so I'd actually need to update that in both places. So I'm just going to create a function, a little helper function here. I'm going to call it secret to ID, and I'm not going to worry too much about it. I should put it in a better place eventually. Oh, whoops. Let me go ahead and cut this. Secret to ID. Let's put secret in there. Ah. And our secret, we'll continue to call it secret. There we go. And then in our other place where we have the ID, we need to also do secret to ID. I think a good time to refactor code that you're using in multiple places is often the first time that you actually have to go back and modify it in multiple places, because then the refactor makes perfect sense. You might as well just refactor the function that you needed, or create the function that you needed and then go replace it in all the places that you needed to change. But before that, sometimes it's nice just to build things out and see what they're going to be. Okay, here we are. Secret ID. Was there any other place where we need to do that? Right here, of course. Boom, 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 boom. And so again, what we were doing here is this token is somewhat of a misnomer. It's just a random token, not a web token or any sort of specified format of token. And all we're doing is taking the hash of the token. Since the token is not known, you can take the hash of the token and then make that the public part of, or a public identifier for the token. That said, someone could create potentially somehow with enough hashing, they could create something that would give you back the same ID, especially when you're shortening it. But they could not derive the secret from just knowing the ID. There are multiple random strings in the key space of random strings that would give you that particular ID most likely, and it's not computationally possible to exhaust the whole key space, basically meaning there's not enough computing power to guess what the random number is, even if you know the hash of the random number. Like, there's not enough computing power on the planet to do that in a reasonable amount of time. Anyway, so all of these are the same now. Oh, and one more. Secret to ID. Oh, we don't need this one to be secret to ID, because this one we're going to decode. So I think what we want is the verify function. I think it was keyFetch.jwt.verify. There we go. This is essentially what we want. Verify ID token. It's probably the same thing. Yeah, so we could probably just call this, no, because it's got the authorization bearer stuff there. So everything else being the same. Let me just put this here, async function verify JWT. And then we'll pass in JWT. And this is not much. We're just saving a couple of lines here because we know the issuer we want to have the same. We want to use the same public key, blah, blah, blah. So let me go back to that exchange endpoint. Okay, now I've scrolled back down here. And yeah, I'm going to want to be able to do let JWS equals verify JWT exchange. And we want to await that. And that is going to give us ID is going to equal jws.claims.challenge ID. That's what we called it, which is going to allow us to go get the meta information. Okay. And then this is not going to be verifying. This is going to be exchanged. So we want to say exchanged at and exchanged by. And then what was this over here? I'm just going to scroll back up. We do want a way to cancel this. So when we click the link on the phone and it pops up and it says, do you want to log in the device that's on your Windows computer? You should be able to click no to that, in which case we would not want to let the other device, you click the magic link on your phone, we wouldn't actually want this to claim it. I don't know, that's kind of niche. I'm not sure if we really need to worry about that. I'm just going to put a to-do for right now. I might even already have a to-do in here for that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to put to-do expire challenge token. Option to expire challenge token. There we go. All right, cool. Documented. Oops. Typer, no typing, leading cause of typos. I should use one of those. I don't know. I just, to be honest, the type ahead things get on my nerves. They get on my nerves in VS Code. They get on my nerves when I've had them in Vim. I know that there's utility in them. I know that they are somewhat good, but they do tend to annoy me more than it seems like they help, because I like to use tab, and it's it's like hitting tab and enter is a normal thing that I would do, and so having that type ahead plugin, sometimes I go to hit tab and then it auto completes with the code. Actually, I think that if I'm not mistaken, oh yeah, if I'm in the middle of a word, if I'm not on white space, I totally forgot about that. There already is some plugin that I have. I need to start using that. There we go. So let me just try this real quick. Can I? Yeah. Okay. I am going to start using that, because that's not annoying. Because that only tabs when I'm actually in the middle of something. I've had other ones. I don't remember which one this is that I have installed right now. But I've used other ones that bug the bejeebies out of me. Anyway, that's kind of off topic. A lot of it off topic. We do want to store the IP address as well. We're not doing that right now, and the reason is because it's not just a matter of doing rec.connection. Although I suppose this is better than nothing. Rec.connection.remote address. Let me check that out real quick. Maybe it's rec.socket, something like that. Rec.socket.remote address. It would give bad information in many cases. Okay, here is appears something strange, blah 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 blah. Does work. Huh. Yeah, that looks like. Let me go look at the actual Node documentation. Probably under the net module. Remote address. Except that I would need to be checking HTTP because it res.socket. Okay. Create server. Your IP. So it's interesting. It does a res, not rec. Rec.socket. Huh. Oh, okay. I kind of see what they're doing here. I think that it would work either way. As in, you probably could do res.socket, but it's kind of... They're saying the request came in on this local address versus the response is going out to the remote address. I think that's why they're documenting that way, even though socket exists on both the rec and the res object. I like that, though. I like that. That's it makes sense intuitively. So we'll go ahead and do this. We'll go ahead and add the IP address, but we'll make a note to do IP address should consider trust, proxy, etc. So yeah. And then does it have port as well? Yeah, remote port. The port doesn't matter. I can't imagine that being useful. At least not right now. Not unless you were doing something to track sessions through a NAT, which you could. What I mean by that is there's 10 computers in your house. To a server, it's going to look like they all come from the same IP address, but they'll come from different ports as long as their session is maintained. But the router on the inside of your home network is actually what is managing that. So a remote program on a server could not have a really good grasp on what the port number would mean. And we're not worried about that right now. But why not? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. There's no good reason for it. That's why not. All right, we're going to go back here. And what do we have, like, completed by, verified at, verified by? And verified IP. Let's go ahead and do it. I don't feel bad about it. We're going to set all that. And then at this point, we should do something to make sure that the data that's in the database is not expired. So let me do store.set and see what we're doing. We put in the UA. Do we even need that? Let's do this. Issued by, issued at. That seems fair enough. All right, this is the only place where we're putting in things. Okay. So basically, now this meta object is going to have what user agent or browser initiated the process, oh, and then issued IP. So let's go look and we'll copy the same note that we have here, and we'll just copy it right here. Issued IP. There we go. It's just dandy. Okay. So yeah, we know 3 pieces of information. We know who initiated the request. We know who fulfilled the request, i.e. the phone or the same browser. And we know who exchanged the request if there was an exchange. And once we get to the point where this is in the browser, it'll make a lot more sense. So you just have to bear with me. And I do have the chats open, so if you have a question, just hit me up on Twitch or YouTube. I just took a look at that right now. Bum, bum, bum. So one thing that I want to do is we want to know that this link is going to expire in some amount of time, and we need to have an elegant way to set what that value is. But just for starters, I think 15 minutes is appropriate. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to create a variable called stale time, or stale after, or stale timeout, stale something. Call it stale time for now. 15 times 60 seconds times 1000 milliseconds. Stale age. Stale age. I like that. We're going to call that stale age. And more specifically, we need to say this is magic link, or maybe just ML for short. Expiry age. I don't know. Naming things is hard. But let me look for store.get. If not meta, or meta.issued at is, let's say ML is expired. This is another reason we know that this needs to go in another file, that what I'm working on right now needs to go in another file, because I'm starting to prefix my functions with a namespace, ML in this case, because I don't want it to conflict with other isExpired functions that I might want to create for this, because I'm dealing with other token stuff and I might want to have an isExpired function, or I might want to have another stale age or expiry age. So that's another indicator that it's time to move this out into its own function. Alrighty. Or its own file. ML is expired, and issued at, this was milliseconds, right? Going back over here to isostring. Okay, is that the same true of exchanged at? Yeah, okay. So we're going to have to do new date at, and then dot value of, so that we get milliseconds, and then return so now is always older than later. So that's in the past. So if the distance between now and the past is 1 millisecond, then it's very small, but if it's 15 minutes, then it's larger. So this is the direction that the numbers are going. We're going to check that it is greater than or equal to ML expiry age. And that's how we test is expired. Now, if we're being more security conscious, which we should be really, what we ought to do is flip this around, because I could put a typo in here and I could get back a falsy value. So instead, what I ought to do is say ML magic link is fresh. And so then what I would be returning would be the opposite. I would say that it is less than the expiry age. There we go. ML is expired. So not ML is fresh. So now, even if I made a mistake and I had a typo or some value was off, this is much more likely in doing the check in this direction that the bad value, having a potential bad value would lead to verification failing rather than having a potential bad value leading to verification succeeding. Okay. And basically everywhere there's the store.get, I want to put that. So I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it here. There we go. It looks like there's 3 places where that deserves to go. And there's always a balance of making things just work versus making them customizable. In some ways, I'd prefer that this kind of logic be handled in whatever the store is. Just say like, hey, you should check your expiration before you give me something, period. But in practice, less burden, especially when it comes to security. The more that is encapsulated, the better off. So putting that flexibility to customize how this check is done should be done in another way. And it probably should be time-based. So just maybe when they initialize this, let me go back up to the top here. So I just put in ML expiry age there. Ugh, the yawns. But maybe what I should do is have it be an option in here. So I'm going to say to do option that gets passed in. Turn into option that gets passed in. And this should be in a different file anyway. So I'm really strongly considering just making that file now. But I don't want to get sidetracked. There's only one other thing that I need to do here. And I've got basically half an hour to test this. I don't know if we'll get to the browser bit. I hope that we will, but we'll see. So challenge issue, challenge exchange. This is where we're at. All right. So if the token is not fresh, then throw an error. It's invalid. Got it. We're going to allow this exchange. Okay. I'm not actually, that comment belongs in here. So we're going to have either tel or phone or something like that is going to be in here as a possibility of how to get ID claims. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. All right, we just want to give them back this ID token. So essentially, if they pass through the test, then we should just be able to get them the claim, sign the token, call it a day. And I think that that is well. 24-hour optional claims. Yeah, this looks right. And where was that get at? What does that allow us to see? The user agent. I'd probably let it see issued. Oh, okay. Where else is UA being used? Issued by UA. Probably want meta.issued at. And then meta.issued by. And really, it seems like, I don't know if this is more requested by, not issued. So let me change that. Issued at should be ordered at. And then issued by should be ordered by. Okay, so when I get this, I should be able to see who it was ordered by. And who it's ordered by should be the one that's doing the exchange. So if we go back to look at exchanged by, really, what I would say is if meta.issued or ordered by is not exactly equal to meta.exchanged by, then we have a problem, because it just wouldn't make sense that one browser, and we're not going to have 3 computers in this setup. I'm going to be on my desktop, I'm going to hit send magic link, I'm maybe going to click the link on my phone, but I'm not going to have a third computer that then is going to exchange the one that this one got. So I think it's fair to say this is an error condition that we want to handle if who's exchanging is not who's ordering. And I'm just going to back this up by 1. Then we want to say oh, I'm not following my rule. These are not user formatted. Error messages. There we go. I like the code to be programmer friendly and the message to be user friendly. Let's see. So we say magic link must be ordered. We'll call it requested and fulfilled on the same device. This is I don't know. Looks like something suspicious is going on. Are you? Okay, there we go. And actually, there's another case that can happen. A user has one tab open where they request the magic link, and they have another, maybe it's an incognito window or something, and then they have another browser profile or browser where they're doing the magic link. So it's not just the phone, it actually could be on the same desktop but different browsers. Okay. So yeah, that's not really an invalid token per se, it's just bad request would be the suspicious request. That's fair enough. Okay. Now that works. All that's being stored. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. All right, and then the token gets signed and everything is good. Seems like the right thing to do. Okay, now let's go into our little testy do here. And we're going to get a challenge token, which we're probably not going to be able to use that way. But I will... I'll just spit it out. So we'll get the challenge token, we'll get the mabob in the email, and then we'll do the finalize. But what I want to do here is I want to show, I guess where I should show it is here. This is where I should show it. So what we're going to do is right after we get the challenge token, I'm going to post it to the Exchange endpoint. And we should get back a message telling us that no dice. You don't get back a token yet. And in fact, we didn't implement that yet. I need to go back here and do this. So, nope, it's not in the app. It's in the session. So we need to do the verification. We need to say if not meta dot verified at. Is that what it was? Verified at? Yeah. Then, and we've already checked freshness up here, so we don't need to check that the verification is at any particular freshness. Oh, something fell upstairs. Okay, meta. If not meta verified at, then we want to throw an error as well. But this is a soft error, really. I'm just gonna call this e retry. The magic link has not been clicked. No, this is not an error. Because it's a normal condition that's going to happen. So let me do this. Let's return. Because I would never show the user this message. I can't, at least right now, I can't think of a case where I'd want to show the user the message. That's a good litmus test. Do you want to show the user the message that you're creating in the error? If not, then maybe it's more of a signal in the API and not an error per se. And that's the metric that I'm going to use right here and now. And again, I'm going to go check in. Let's see. No comments in the comments. Do we have anybody even watching right now? Oh, we do have a couple people watching right now. Cool. Hello, people that are watching right now. Thanks for joining in. Feel free to ask any questions if you got them. Don't be afraid. Even if they seem a little bit off topic, I'll try to answer them. Okay, so res.json here, we're going to send back retry, and let's just say retry in 1 second. That's fair enough. And let's see, is this successful? Maybe what this needs to be actually is more of a, maybe it needs to pull the get and then do the exchange. That feels like it would end up cleaner. Because here, I'm not sure what to call this. Like, it's not really an error. It's not really success. What do I call it? Well, maybe I go back to where it is an error. Let's just say this. The programmer should have checked first. There we go. This is a programmer error. The person who coded this should have checked that first. I'm going to put a to do here because that's not my best error message. And okay, now it's not a retry. Now it's a straight up invalid. Sure, I mean, it's not really an invalid token per se. Better message and error code should go here. All right, so instead, what happens when we fetch that get? All right, here we're getting the challenge. We're getting it with a secret. Does that make sense? To get it with the secret? Okay, let's say that we could do this either way. Oh, in this case, it would need to go in the query, huh? That couldn't go in the body. That's silliness. There we go. All right, else if challenge token, else there should be an error. Actually, I don't need to handle the else case because the ID will just be nothing. And so getting nothing, well, again, to make this safe for databases, I want to make it's better to duplicate this line than to have to deal with this in some other way. Because basically, we don't want to. There's always a chance that the person that's using this library, whatever their store.get function is, that instead of either returning a single item or nothing, that I don't know, this would be really weird, but it's conceivable to me that it could get back a value from store.get if we didn't give an ID. People make the kind of mistakes where they end up giving back, you know, if you give it an ID, it gives you back that specific one out of the list. If you don't give it an ID, it gives you the most recent one out of the list. Like, that sort of thing does happen. So I'd rather just say, hey, there's two ways to get the ID. And whoops. And here they are. Yeah, I'd rather say there's not the ID. There's two ways to get the meta. You can either get it by getting the ID from secret or by getting the ID from this. But if the ID itself is empty, I don't want to have yet another special case for that and then have more error logic. So it's better for me to just say if there's not meta or if the order data isn't fresh, then give this error. And the easiest way for me to see how to do that is to check if there's a secret or if there's a challenge token, because if there isn't, then I know the ID is going to be blank. And then let it fall through to that. All right, what else are we at here? JWS claims challenge token. That's the ID. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, and so we just do a get there. Cool. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change my little test2 ditty. And I'm going to change it so that it just appends the challenge token to the URL. Like so. And then that should give back, oh, we want to make sure that verified at is in there. So get ordered by, ordered at, verified at, and then verified by. You know, because then what we could do is we can say, hey, it looks like, you know, you click the magic link on your iPhone. I don't know. I don't know that it's really that important to be able to show what it's by, but we'll go ahead and use it for now. We'll throw it in there. I like the idea of simple double confirmations. You know, if I'm on my Windows computer and I see a sign-in request from a Windows computer, that doesn't make me feel unsafe, but it does make me feel unsafe if I sign in for a Windows computer and I see a request come from an Apple computer, or if I didn't sign in and I don't have an Apple computer and I see a request come in, so on and so forth. So I like the idea of tracking this. And makes for good audit log, I think. You know, you logged in on this day at this time with this device, this IP address, etc., etc. Okay, which we'll get into the audit log, you know, who knows, part 12 or 13 or 15 or 20. But yeah, I think I'm ready to test this now. Let's see if I am. So I've got that there now. And then I do need, for the finalize, I should be able to run the complete, run the get again. And this time that same get should succeed. I should be prefixing all of these with local whenever I'm using variables that aren't intended to leave. So I guess finalize is going to look more like that. Okay, so it should complete. It should check this data again, and then it should try the exchange. And the exchange is going to be challenge token. And other than the fact that the complete represents the browser on which the link is clicked, and the exchange represents the computer that's receiving the token that ordered or requested the magic link challenge. These, what it gets back should be similar. Should both be an ID token, I believe. So we're going to test this out, see if it works. Then we'll call it quits. And we'll get to the email templates eventually. I've put email templates in the description for 3 of these now, and still we have not gotten to the email templates. So I think we're going to spend a little more time on the magic link, and then we'll get around. We'll do the browser part of the magic link, and maybe we'll do the email templates in that. So I'm probably going to keep it in the description for the next couple times until we actually get around to it, because I don't know when. But yeah. Anyway, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to run this, and let's see what we get. Oh, echo. Typing is the leading cause of typos. Okay, so here's our challenge token, and I actually wanted that with a -r. And so let's go back and do that. Challenge token. I don't want the quotes around it. All right, not found. The resource you requested not exist. Double check typos and try again. So I'm guessing that refers to this auth in challenge exchange, but excuse me, bless me, whatever me. That's what it should have been right there. That was a typo. I'm going to see if we can go ahead and curl this. Whoops. So I'm going to go ahead and source the .env. Oh, dang it. These all should have exports on them. Huh. That's annoying. We'll go into bash. Source.env. But the .env guy in Node won't put the exports in front. But this is really annoying. Maybe I can bring up fish as a specific use case as to why exports should be allowed in his .env syntax. Okay, anyway, I'm sourcing that, and then I'm going to say my challenge token equals, and then I'm going to paste in this challenge token, and then I'm going to do the curl. No, internal server error, that's not what I wanted, although that it is nice to get that. Exchange is not defined. Good enough. Where am I using exchange? It was defined there. Oh, wait, go back. And here, challenge token. Maybe I'll call it exchange token. I don't know what I'm going to call it. There's no good names for some things, which is why they're named so terribly. Okay, I think I can run this again. There we go. What? Still an internal error. Oh. Retrieve list of them keys. But none of them match the KID of the token. This actually should not be a server error, I don't think. 348. I'm going to take a quick look at that because that's not the error that I want to work on right now. But essentially, if there's something wrong with verifying the token, it's not a server error. It is a user error. So let me rethrow that. Okay. Now I'm going to have to run this test again. And I'm going to do it from bash. So I got a new challenge token. Email verification token does not exist or is expired. I don't know if that should be true. I don't think that's the error I was expecting for this. Okay. Ordered at is right there. All right, I think what we need to check for is secret to ID. We're returning here, good. There's no place where we're using crypto other than in these couple of places, right? Okay. So let's see, what line? Did it give us a line for this? Get undefined, undefined. That's a clue. Console.log born. Let's do console.log. Do we have a set? We have a get. We have a get. Get undefined, undefined. Okay, so this makes sense. So basically we're not getting the ID. So let's consider why we're not getting the ID here. And then I have to call it quits for the time being. Why are we not getting the ID at that challenge, that get challenge? Get challenge. Get auth and challenge. rec.query.token, rec.query.challenge token. If secret, secret ID, if challenge, then throw ID clears challenge token, challenge ID. That's what it is. It's the challenge ID out of the token. Okay, we're gonna run it again. So I just had a typo there. All right. Oh, good. So we got success true, ordered at, ordered by. Everything looks magnificent. Let's go over here to the email and see if there's one that was just a moment ago. And indeed there is right here. Oh, and another one. Okay. 3 minutes ago right now. So this is the one that we want. We could probably make that shorter still. What are we going to do in this? We're going to go into the test 2. I think we're going to need to grab our challenge token. We're going to comment this one out. And we're going to say, yeah, finalize me, Captain. There we are. And there we are. So now when I run this, we should, it should verify with my secret. It should check that it's complete. We should get back a different response. And then it should exchange. Oh wait, what's going on here? I got two things here. This is not right. It should be like this. There we go. Challenge token. Okay, so we should see that it's not verified. We're verifying it. We should see that it is verified. And then we should get back an ID token here for the thing that clicks on the link, and an ID token here for the thing that initiated the order. And that should be it. So let me double check that. Go ahead and run it. So success, ordered at, ordered by. Success, we get an ID token. Success, ordered at, ordered by, verified at, and then invalid token. So the very last, we have an issue with an invalid token. Let's see if we notice anything here. All right, we're getting undefined again. Post, let's see, get, so let's just look for probably a typo. So let me go back up to the top here. And this one, and then down here, this one, these should be the same. And it looks like they are the same. And in fact, we even got the success using that. So we know that that is correct. Great. Now here, challenge, exchange, post. So something's not working in the exchange. Let's take a look at it. Okay, body.challenge, rec.body.challenge token. Again, challenge ID, same typo. So I have a relative degree of confidence at this point that if this were to run through the rest of the way, that it is going to work. I think that that's going to have to be enough, and I'll test this as the first thing I do next time, but I gotta head out. So let's go ahead and give this a meaningful commit message. Let's look at what the last one was, because I think this is still going to get rolled into that. Yeah. Git commit whip. Complete order, verify, fulfill cycle. Cool. Alrighty. Well, that's all I got for now. I gotta head out. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, give it a like. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the question or comments. Check down in the doobly-doo for links to gear and live channel and Beyond Code channel and Shower Thoughts channel. And I will catch you maybe later tonight. That's what I'm hoping for. I got a couple of things going on until then. I got a meeting I need to attend, and then I need to prepare a little bit for the meetup because I'm going to be presenting on async router and this paradigm of error handling that I've been using in Express. So we shall see. All right. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Adios.